I remember years ago a doctor saying to me, "Marianne, you're not sick, but I wouldn't say that you're healthy." And when he said that, that really impacted my thinking, because theretofore I had thought of health as simply the absence of sickness. But of course, the last few decades, there's been a real shift in our attitudes about health and healing. We understand that health is much more than the absence of sickness, that in fact what sickness is the absence of health. So you don't just wait till you get sick and fight the sickness. You proactively cultivate the conditions of health. And that is the shift that we're now making in our thinking regarding war and peace. You can't just wait till warlike conditions come about and try to slap them down. You know, if you take primarily a military perspective on problems such as terrorism, that's what you're doing. You're just zapping the cancer with radiation and chemo, as it were. But sometimes you're told by a doctor that the cancer you have is inoperable, that the cancer you have is systemic. And that's when you realize that you have to do more than just try to zap the tumor. You need to cultivate a higher level of immune functioning. You know, I think of World War II as a situation where you can liken the Japanese Imperial Army at that time and the Nazis to operable tumors. But terrorism is not an operable tumor. It's more like spider tumors that have wrapped themselves around healthy organs all over the system. It's metastasized throughout the body. So we have to raise our immune functioning. And society has an immune system, just as the body has an immune system. And one of the things that we've learned about the immune system of the body is that it responds to spiritual practice. I mean, the most prestigious academic institutions in the United States have now scientifically substantiated that people who have been diagnosed with life-challenging illnesses, who attend spiritual support groups, live on average twice as long after diagnosis. We now have the opportunity to move into a holistic model where we realize that you don't just heal the body, but you address healing in the mind and the spirit as well. Not just embracing a holistic model in medicine, but we can now embrace a holistic model in politics as well. We no longer look to the allopathic medical doctor and see that person as the be-all and end-all of our medical consultation. It is one element, and one element only. The traditional politician can be likened to the allopathic doctor. They basically are concerned with treating the effects of a problem. But if we really want to heal the society, just as if we really want to heal the body, we need to address root causes. The level of cause, not just the level of effect. And that is why creating community is the answer to the problems of the world at the deepest level. When you hear of cells of terror, for instance, it's like a chill goes up your spine. It's scary enough to hear about a terrorist, but when you hear about two or more terrorists together, that really gets you scared. That's because we instinctively know the power of people together. So the only real antidote to cells of terror is cells of peace, cells of love. And that is what community is. It's a place where people reach beyond the boundaries, and I don't mean healthy boundaries there, reach beyond the walls that the ego mind would construct to separate us. And that's the real peace building of our time, creating community. You know, if you look at a place like Israel, one of the great tragedies of the current situation with the Israelis and the Palestinians is that there have been people, both Palestinian and Israeli, who have worked so diligently over the last few years, building community, building genuine peace among themselves. And, you know, it's very clear that both the majority of Israelis and the majority of Palestinians would really like to just live in peace. And what has happened there is what's happened on the planet, is that a relatively small group of people who represent hate-filled ideas have a kind of stranglehold on world events.